All right, good evening. Welcome everyone to the teleconference. This is the Library Joint Powers Authority LJPA board meeting for October 1st at 6 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and streamed live to YouTube. If you'd prefer to join by phone only, we will give you those options. So hang on just a moment. To join this webinar using a telephone only, please dial any of the following numbers. I'll read two of them aloud. 1-888-788 0099 or 1-833-548-0282, and then slowly enter the webinar ID of 985-1083-7296, and then the passcode of 967245. On September 23rd, 2020, the Santa Cruz Libraries Facilities Financing Authority Board, LFFA, posted a notice of cancellation that read as follows. Notice is hereby given that the regular meeting of the Facilities Financing Authority Board of the Santa Cruz City County Library System, scheduled for October 1, 2020, has been canceled. The next meeting will be convened on December 3rd, 2020. As an attendee, your microphone is muted for the entire presentation unless you follow the process for public comments. You do not need a microphone, camera, or a screen if you only want to listen to the meeting, as this meeting is accessible by landline or mobile phone. If you need assistance, please call the library's telephone information line at 1-831-427-7713. The board will take public comments as outlined in the posted agenda and in the next slides. All written comments must include the agenda item number and be received prior to the close of public comment on that agenda item. If you're joining by computer, you may use the Q&A feature to type your comments. On the attendee control bar near the bottom of the screen, you'll see the Q&A icon. You may also use the raise hand icon to raise your hand. The moderator will either call your name or announce the last 3 digits of your phone number when it is your turn. State your name, and then you'll have 2 minutes of open mic time. If you're using a mobile device, the Q&A icon and raise hand icons likely appear near the top right corner of your screen. Alternatively, you may call the library's telephone information line to timely submit your comments at 1-831-427-7713. These will be read by the moderator. Once the board meeting begins, if you're joining by computer, to see all panelists, you may need to use the Zoom control bar and select Gallery View. Depending on the size of your mobile device screen, you may need to scroll over to view whoever is speaking. If you're accessing this meeting via a Chromebook or a web browser only, you may not see all of the panelists at one time, only the panelists speaking. The chair of the board, Jamie Goldstein, will now call the meeting to order. Transitioning to Gallery View, please stand by.
Okay, welcome all to the Santa Cruz Libraries Joint Powers Authority Board. Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Tina Friend.
Here.
Director Nicole Coburn.
Here.
Vice Chair Martin Bernal.
Sorry, I have to mute. Here.
Chair Jamie Goldstein.
Here. It takes us to the next item on this evening's agenda, which is additional materials. Are there any materials that were submitted after the distribution of the packet?
There are no additional materials.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
I have no changes to tonight's agenda.
Okay, so that takes us to oral communication. This is the opportunity for any member of the public to address this board on any item that is not on this evening's agenda. Moderator Jones, do we have any public or oral communication this evening?
Chair Goldstein, there are no oral communications this evening.
Okay, I'll close public comment, and that takes us to item 5 on our agenda, which is report by Library Director. Director Nimitz.
I've included a report over the library's many activities through the fire of the last 6 weeks. It was a challenging time, I know, for all of us, and I do want to thank you all for your support. We were forced to close the libraries in the San Lorenzo Valley. We were able to provide the Scotts Valley branch as a location for CAL FIRE. All 3 branches did well in the fire, and we're really grateful to the first responders. If you get to the Boulder Creek Library, you'll see just how close the fire got. And I just also have to acknowledge how happy I am with the metal roof at the new Felton Library. Included an article from Library Journal that just talked about how libraries in the area are reacting to the wildfire season. One of the impacts that we had not anticipated was air quality issues. And so that has had some impact on our ability to do curbside services. We're hoping that we're through the worst of it. I also included, because we don't have an LFFA meeting, updates on our projects. A lot of progress has been made since we last met. Aptos is having its final public meeting next Monday, and you're all invited. There's an invitation in your packet. Both Capitola and La Selva Beach are clearly coming towards a finish of construction in the next few months. Downtown made some progress and then has decided not yet to approve the proposed project manager. So we're still waiting to see the next steps on that project. Galfield Park and Branciforte are in permitting, and Boulder Creek, we're removing all the contents of this week and next week, and we'll turn over to a construction company the following week. Scotts Valley has begun a whole variety of projects, both on the outside infrastructure of the building and on the inside. So many, many things happening on the construction side of the shop. If there are any questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Susan. Sounds like busy times, strange times for sure, with so many closures and challenging operating conditions, and at the same time, so much construction. It's going to go down in history as an eventful one for the library system for sure. 2020 will. Okay, so that takes us to the report by Friends of the Santa Cruz Public Libraries. Do we have anyone from the Friends who's on this evening's meeting?
I believe Martin Gomez is here. They're coming off a great victory, and I was hoping they could tell you about it. If not, Cindy Jackson might be available.
And it looks like we have.
Cindy Jackson, are you available?
Sure. Would Chairman Goldstein, sorry, we just had a wonderful event with Susan Orlean and Nikki Silva. We have had a ebooks campaign, and we were looking for $25,000, and we've raised way over that, which is really fun. I wish I could tell you how much. And that's about it. We're going. Susan, did you have anything else you wanted me to say? I'm sorry.
I want to say that the Friends are just doing a lot of infrastructure work as well. They're entering a strategic planning phase, and they're hiring a professional fundraiser to assist them with more capital campaigns. And it's just really nice to see their many successes.
And Martine is actually here. He is in disguise. Martine, I've opened up your line, so I won't bring you over because I didn't realize it was you.
Sorry, can you hear me okay?
We can.
We can.
Okay, so sorry about that. We're using our platform that was registered under our previous director's name. So no wonder you didn't recognize who I am. And actually, Susan gave probably, and Cindy gave most of my report. I just want to say a couple of quick things. First, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be on your agenda tonight. As Cindy mentioned, we exceeded our ebook campaign. I wanted to mention that the ebook campaign is still going on, but we exceeded our goal, and it's a partnership between the school systems here in the county as well as the library and the Friends of the Library. So we're very pleased with the results so far. We had one donor who gave us a very significant gift to help us get over our edge. I'm not going to give you their name, but we're very happy about that. In terms of our board development, we wanted to mention that we have a new board member. Some of you may know this gentleman. He's been on the board before. His name is Pete Cullen, and we're happy to welcome him back. He was previously the president, maybe 10 years ago. Cindy might know something about that. And then also, as Susan mentioned, our countywide campaign is about to begin. That is the silent phase, I should say. We're doing a study right now on trying to get a handle on how much money we think we can raise to help support all the construction projects. We're happy to know that, you're all happy to know, I'm sure, that Capitola and Felton have reached their goal. So we're going to build on their momentum and their success. And we'd like to reach out to some of you, if that's possible, to ask you for some advice on who we should talk to complete our study that help us understand how much we think we can raise throughout the county. Certainly our priorities right now are for the city branches because of the matching grant we have from the Monterey Peninsula Foundation. We have gotten pretty darn close to reaching our goal for that, which is $300,000. We've raised $245,000. And again, on top of that, the Monterey Peninsula Foundation will match it $1 for $1. So that $300,000 gift will be $600,000 when we succeed. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, and maybe Susan has mentioned it, but I want to toot our horn again. And that is that we just, through the wonderful work of the La Selva chapter friends, were able to raise a lot of money and gave a gift to the county of $95,000 for a new sliding glass wall that will make the library just 100 times better. No apologies. So we're taking a wall out and putting a glass wall in between a sliding glass wall, so it'll make the library seem much larger. And then we also were able to give the Boulder Creek Library a $100,000 gift. And we're very pleased about that too, because the folks in Boulder Creek, have been having a very hard time, and we're happy to, provide the support for the library. And this is the last note I would like to say, is that the Friends are very pleased that the City of Santa Cruz City Council has moved forward on the multi-purpose project. That's been a project that we've monitored very closely, been actively advocating for. And I know, as Susan said, we didn't yet, or there hasn't yet been a selection for the project manager or owner's representative, but we're confident, and we want to make sure that you all know that we think that that's the best way to go, and that we're very supportive of moving forward with the multi-purpose facility. So that ends my report, and thank you. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Thank you for the report, Martine. Sounds like a lot of great work.
Thank you.
Okay, so that takes us to the next item on our agenda, which is a report by the Library Advisory Commission. Susan, do we have, I understand that Mr. White was unable to attend the meeting this evening. Do we have anybody else, or?
He is unable to attend the meeting, but I am happy to report that our agenda was very similar to the agenda of this meeting. We spent a lot of time talking about budget and the next steps for reopening the libraries under COVID-19. I do have to say the board did endorse our strategies moving forward that we'll be talking about later in this meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you for that report. Are there any comments by other board members?
I have one, Chair Goldstein,
Go
or
ahead.
just a couple. First of all, I just really want to appreciate Director Nemitz and the staff of the Scott Valley branch. When we were hosting CAL FIRE at the base camp there in the Sky Park, and we thought we had need of the library. Well, we certainly did use it. I reached out to Susan, and she instantly wrote back and said, yes, we want to be part of the solution. So I really want to say thank you, because I know we took it offline. We used the parking. We didn't end up using the inside, which maybe is fine, but there was just no hesitation there. And so I was just very grateful when we're just trying to deal with such an enormous issue, just to have that partnership. So I want to extend my thanks for that. And then also just to echo the excitement that things are happening at the Scotts Valley branch. I mean, things are finally moving. So Monday, we are having our roof replacement and our HVAC replacement project starts, which is just huge. I've literally been talking about it for a year here. So I'm very excited. We're fixing some problems, and very excitingly, we had our kickoff meeting with Group 4 with our project management team. And that was just wonderful to meet the team, the principals, to know that they'd been with Scotts Valley with the initial renovation. And it's just, things are just getting very real for us. And so I've been waiting for this moment. And so it was a very big week. So I'm just going to say to all the library patrons out there, we're going to be seeing great things at Scotts Valley very soon. Thanks.
Hey. Thank you, Tina. Okay, if I'm seeing no other comments by board members, I think that takes us to our consent calendar. Looks like we have 4 items on this evening's consent. Does anybody want to discuss or pull any of the items from consent? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Friend,
Aye.
Director Coburn,
Aye.
Vice Chair Bernal,
Aye.
Chair Goldstein.
Aye. Okay, so that takes us to item 10, general business. We have 2 items this evening on our general business. The first one is a fiscal 2021 budget update. Director Nimitz, do we have a staff report, please?
Hi. You know, after we made major reductions to our budget in June of this year, the board requested that we have a budget update at every JPA meeting. I actually have relatively good news. As we're looking at our revenue, our sales tax projections, thanks to Nicole, have been pretty close to what we're achieving. If anything, we're getting a little bit more sales tax than we anticipated for the first 2 months of this fiscal year, which means that our expenditure projections are in line with that revenue source. Our other primary revenue source is the MOE, and we, like everyone else, had some concerns about the loss of nearly 1,000 homes in the San Lorenzo Valley. But the way the current maintenance of effort agreement works, the allocations to the library are predefined as per that agreement of 5 years ago. And up until now, we have been, or the fund has been generating larger sums of revenue than have been given to the library. So it is my hope that the MOE fund will generate enough funds to complete the year without any reduction to it. I think we'll have to get farther in the reassessment process to know that for sure. But at this point in time, I'm not recommending major changes in our proposed budget plan.
Okay. Are there any questions for Susan? Seeing none, can we go, do we have any, anyone who wants to make public comments? Moderator Jones.
Chair Goldstein, there are no public comments at this time.
Okay. Does anyone have any discussion around the budget update?
Jamie, I'll just say that it does look like the first quarter sales tax is coming in, will be higher than what was estimated. So it's looking like it's continuing on that track. I think the online sales have really helped us out a lot. So I think our next meeting with HDL isn't until sometime in October. So we'll have a better indication of what's happening with sales tax, maybe for the first quarter and going forward. But so far, it's looking really good.
Yeah, that's great news. Our red letter day, I think, is November 20th, if I remember correctly. That's the date we'll get the true up. We'll get the payment for the first quarter of this fiscal year. So that's going to be the next day for all of us to look out for. I do have a question, I guess, Nicole, about the MOE. So I understand how the MOE works and that the excess money beyond what's committed to the library system is being held by the county, and we've allocated it for a number of construction projects. Do you have any concern that the potential, the pending reassessments in the San Lorenzo Valley and Bonnie Doon will affect some of the decisions we've already made about the allocation of that excess MOE funding?
So what we estimated in property tax was a little bit lower than what the actual levy ended up being. So I'm hoping between the increased taxes that we should have gotten in theory before the fire, minus what's going to happen with the calamity reassessments, that it's not going to have a huge impact on the library fund. But I don't really have a great handle quite yet on what the exact impact is, since the assessor has been going through and doing those reassessments, and should be done sometime in October, I think I was told. So hopefully in the next couple months, I'll have a better handle on that for this fiscal year. But I'm hopeful it's not going to affect our prior decisions.
Okay. Well, if we need to have a meeting of the sort of the library fund members, that would be myself and you and Tina. We can huddle and see if it is any effect to the excess MOE.
Right.
Okay, so you don't need any action on this, Director Nemitz?
I do not.
Okay. Well, if it's the board's will, then I think we are ready to move to the next item on the agenda, which is the library operational recommendations under COVID-19. Susan, do we have a staff report, please?
So when we met 2 months ago, we were really focusing on this concept that things were getting better. We did a survey of our community and talked about what they felt we weren't adequately addressing under curbside pickup. Clearly, staff and patrons came back and said they had significant worries about the digital divide during COVID-19 and people having access to both computers and to the internet. We created a series of proposals that we brought to you that you endorsed that direction. And I have included an update to you about some of the things that we have achieved and that we have not achieved. I also included a statement about digital inclusion that the urban library systems have made nationally that I think are consistent with the kinds of things that we're trying to achieve locally. We've had a lot of success in expanding our Wi-Fi signals and in advertising that. We did a survey of all of our school districts to see what their students' needs were in terms of devices and the internet. And I do have to say that the vast majority of the public schools in our area are getting CARES funding, and they are investing it in devices and internet access. Despite that, Zach Friend is working with the county to get us some CARES funding so that we would have Wi-Fi hotspots. And again, we are trying to buy Chromebooks, but we've been in back order on 3 orders so far. But that would give us the opportunity to provide the devices and internet for educational programs and individuals that are falling between the cracks. We also have started our laptop lab at downtown. And Eric, can you get on for a moment? I know we were just starting to evaluate. We started it last week, and it really allows people to come in and use or come outside of the library and use a computer. And I know you were having a debrief on it today. What have we learned?
Well, we know, for one thing, everyone is extraordinarily appreciative of this, and the stories that we hear, range from I really haven't been able to access email for months. Thank you. People are downloading rental applications. They're using this to seek benefits. So, as Susan said, when we did the survey in terms of what are some of the things we need to really put as a priority, it's clear this is critical for people, for many people to move on with their lives and support them.
We have also piloted curbside printing and expanding it to all 5 sites, and then just created all sorts of tech support programs, particularly focused on K-12 education and supporting teachers, parents, and students. Then the fires happened, and we've been working really hard to sort of get past that point, and think about our next steps. As you know, we went to the red tier. At this point in time, the governor is putting libraries in the same tier as retail. So the red tier allows us to open up to 50% of capacity. Again, there are very few libraries in the state that have opened their doors yet to the public. There are more in the Midwest. We could find no library in the Bay Area that has yet opened their doors to the public. We began to realize that we were in this for a longer haul than we had originally anticipated. We had kind of done our strategic planning as an organization through September, and we decided that in light of the prognosis for the virus that we needed to rethink what we were doing. We had 2 staff retreats and really looked at the problems we're facing, the pandemic, maintaining safety, funding cuts, a reduction of the staff by 1/3. We have a lot of staff with work restrictions under COVID. We have 3 branches closed for construction. We have 2 that need to close for construction and 2 that need to open. We have some really big issues we're facing, like equity. And we know that come spring, we're going to be hit really hard with workforce development. And then we've had fires, weather, and air quality. As we were looking at developing outside spaces, we believe that the weather's going to prevent a lot of our ability to offer computing outside, even with tents. And so we're making sort of 6 recommendations, 7, sorry. We've talked through it with the staff a week ago, Thursday, and have started a major reorganization. Although we really like the regional approach to providing services, we don't have enough staff to fully cover that approach. And so we're going to go back to a very, very centralized approach to providing services until we get into the recovery phase of the COVID virus. So where we had 3 regions, we're splitting the staff into 3 sort of organizational outcome areas. The first being sort of direct branch services that includes circulation in public computers, adult services, which is really adult programs outreach and tele-info, and then youth services, which are children's and teens programs. And even though we're contracting many of our services, we still believe that there's a real opportunity for us to strengthen our relationships with the school districts at this time. So we want to add to our services to K-12 school districts. We looked at our programming and outreach, and we decided to narrow what we were going to focus on in the short run. So for example, in the kids area, we're going to focus on early literacy, Spanish speakers, and the summer reading. And in terms of outreach in children's, we're going to focus on K-12 outreach. And it sort of outlines that. That probably has greater implications in terms of what we're not doing in our programming and our outreach. And again, I just want to share with you and with the staff that just because we're deferring a project doesn't necessarily mean that we're never going to do trivia nights ever again. It just means for the short run, we have to prioritize what we're doing. Part of what we're doing, and part of it is an interest by the staff, that staff are being equally impacted across the organization. We identified publicly how we're going to save our $900,000 required by the budget, and it freezes 4.5 positions from admin. We rescinded 1 librarian position, and we freeze 3.5 LA2s. We've done the arithmetic on it. It saves us the $900,000. Our hope is as people retire and resign in the next several months that we may be able to replace the position as long as we can prove to you that we're meeting our $900,000 spending cut. We are struggling to staff our basic services. The biggest impact to the employee is every employee's work assignment, location, and schedule is being reassessed and redefined. And you can imagine how stressful that is for individuals. It's pushing them to days of the week they weren't used to working, potentially working evenings, doing activities that they haven't traditionally done. And we are working closely with the union, but I have to say that that won't be without union issues. And so we'll just continue to work our way through those issues and do things in as timely a way as possible under the agreement of the MOU. We are looking at providing greater organizational flexibility. So we're committing to some limitations, like we're going to maintain the closure of Garfield Park and Branciforte until they close for construction. We're going to close all services across the entire system on Sundays. We submitted to you a holiday closure of branches that will allow us to provide approved vacations over the holiday period. Creating a list of activities we could defer or end. We're reviewing all committee assignments, memberships, and schedules, and greatly reducing some of the work committees that we have. And then we'll be implementing a telecommuting policy that the city has created, but then is an agreement between the organization and the employee about when and where they work at home and what the expectations of that work is. Another big thing for the staff, I know that there's strong potential we'll move back to the purple tier next week, but we don't believe anything that we're doing right now goes anywhere near the capacity requirements of the tiered system. We're going to begin piloting some self-services in all the potential open branches. What we'd like to do is open up a lobby where people could pick up their holds, browse small selections of high interest items, and an additional different entrance into the building, usually into the meeting room, where we would offer some public computing spaced appropriately with the PP&E requirements that are required of a retail environment. Our hope is to have our first pilot up by October 12th, but with the rains coming, we believe that we need to move to the new within branch mediated service model by the end of October. And that's a pretty aggressive schedule. Our staff still remains very frightened for their personal safety and the safety of patrons. And then last but not least, we're just creating some communication pieces on our intranet so people understand things are always changing, so they can go to a single place and see when things changed at individual sites. I'm hoping that, I believe it's within my purview as the director of the library to make these choices, but I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And it's my hope that you will endorse our next step plan for opening services at the public libraries during COVID.
Okay, Susan, thanks for the presentation. Do we have any questions from board members?
I don't have a question, Jamie, but I just wanted to state that and I think Carlos had stated this at the last meeting, the county is very supportive of trying to open up branches when it's appropriate to do so. We feel it's important to make them accessible to those who may not have the technology or other means of accessing library services. So, when the time is right, based on state requirements and local guidance, we would support Susan in trying to do something indoors. And the other thing I wanted to mention, with the fire having severely impacted the Santa Cruz Mountains and the San Lorenzo Valley, there are a lot of people who have lost their homes and are displaced and are living in other situations. And to the extent that Felton can serve as a place to support families and individuals in navigating the recovery process, we would very much support that.
Okay.
I just want to say that the great news about the newer libraries, I think both Scotts Valley and Felton, in their redesigns with multiple entrances, are really great facilities that have a lot more flexibility and are more conducive to some of these changes. Even the Live Oak building, which is a lovely building, but wasn't really built with those kinds of community gathering spaces and separate entrances, we're really struggling to implement some of this. But the two newer branches are proving well designed for new modes of service.
Okay. Do we have more questions, or should we go to public comment first, then we can come back with board comments and deliberation? Okay. Moderator Jones, do we have any public comment on this item?
Chair Goldstein, at this time, I don't see any public comment.
All right. So there, we took care of that. I've closed public comment on this item. Martine, what are your thoughts?
Yes. Yeah, just some comments. First, just wanted to thank Susan and the library staff for really all the creativity that they've exhibited in trying to continue to provide services in these very, very strange times. And I've been observing just from out my window, I can see the work that's being done outside the main library, where patrons are coming in on a pretty regular basis. It's pretty amazing. They park and they have access to technology and email and all of that, and it seems to be working really well. And it's just again amazing to see that we're still able to provide a certain level of services out there, and the community really does need those services. Again, just want to appreciate that, and again, hopefully, as Nicole mentioned, as we're able to expand services and open up the libraries in the traditional way, hopefully we can do that as well. I'm certainly supportive of that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have some comments as well. I think Martine said it really perfectly. Just thanks to Susan and to Eric and to all the staff for just the continuing innovation and reinvention of library services. I mean, we've been hearing iterations of the changes and how can we reach and where are our needs. And it seems like the serving the community, the adapting programs and trying things and abandoning things and trying new things has been fairly relentless. And I know that takes a toll on everyone, but I just want to say it's very inspiring for me to see the singular commitment of the library leadership and library staff to be there for the community and as the needs have changed. So I just really want, it's really hard work to keep up that energy and that pace. And so if Susan and Eric, you can convey our thanks to everyone for that and just our appreciation for, again, that singular goal of what can we do to help our community, even though it's so hard to do it and our employees need help too. I also really want to acknowledge the handling of the very poor air quality we had. It was unhealthy air quality, and a decision was made, we're not going to put our staff in that sort of environment. And so I just want to acknowledge that. I thought that was thoughtful to do that. And then finally, with respect to the recommendations, I just want to say I support them. I think that this is a great plan, a thoughtful plan, and I know the plan will change possibly the next time we meet, because that is just the nature of our time. So that's all I want to say. Thank you to all.
Great. Thank you, Tina. Nicole, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I would just add that since I'm with the county and interact with public health a lot, I'm hopeful we'll be in the red tier for a few more weeks, Susan. So hopefully if we do go into purple, it won't be until mid-October. And I don't know, the state keeps changing its mind as to what it's doing and what it all means. So if we're lucky, maybe we'll even stay in the red tier from here on out. So we'll see kind of what comes down from the state in the coming weeks.
Thank you. So I have a couple comments that I wanted to offer. First, I think Director Friend and Director Bernal did such a wonderful job of acknowledging everybody in these hard times that, you know, I think I would probably fall flat trying to top that. So I just want to really just thank everybody. I know it's so hard for staff and it's so hard for management to try to figure this stuff out. You know, in a small city, you know, we have the same challenges and you're reinventing the wheel every day. So it's exhausting, and at the same time, it's inspiring to see what you guys have done. One of the things you mentioned was the $900,000 in salary savings that we identified in the budget. And so I think I heard from you, Susan, something that that I want to sort of say I support, is that we did the same thing in the Capitola City budget, where we identified a certain amount of salary savings, and we have since had people retire or leave the city, and we have backfilled those positions. Those were budgeted positions, and they're sort of critical to the actual operations of the city. And we believe that we are meeting our budget right now in Capitola. So to the extent that we believe we are meeting our budget that we've adopted or doing better, and you have other vacancies beyond this, I would be fully supportive of backfilling those positions, particularly for critical needs that'll help provide services to our community, because in these times it's so important that we do continue to innovate and continue to do our best to provide those services. I also want to echo something that Director Coburn and Director Bernal said about the buildings. You know, I know there's tons of challenges with getting those buildings open. I know that there's challenges with unions. I know that there's justified concerns by employees. How do you keep the public safe? All of those things. I also would point out the fact that, you know, the supermarkets have been doing a pretty good job of it for a long time. And so I really would, to the extent that we can do it possibly and do it safely, look for opportunities to do that. I'm really encouraged to see that we're looking at this opportunity to use the lobbies, and you know, let's continue to try to innovate and keep our eye on what tier we're in the state system. And then lastly, and this one's kind of a minor thing, is my recreation director just came to me with an interesting idea that we're going to be doing in our rec department about some sort of a mobile Halloween thing where people can kind of dress up their cars and come through our rec center on Halloween. I know that for a lot of children, the Halloween experience is going to be very different this year than it's been in past years. And I would just toss that out to you, Susan, is maybe there's something that the libraries could do in some sort of event that helps engage youth with the library and also provide a kind of a Halloween-like experience in some sort of safe way. I don't know what that is. Certainly not going to try to make it up on the spot, but the thought just occurred to me that maybe it's a good opportunity to try some sort of new engagement that we haven't in the past. Susan, looks like you have something to add.
I will be happy to throw that challenge out to the staff. I'm sure they'd be excited to be involved. I know that when I learned that many of the downtown festivities were not going to be there, how sad I was. So I can't imagine how a 4-year-old feels right now. We'll do our best.
Yeah. I don't know what that would look like, but I know you have amazing people on staff who will probably come up with ideas 10 times better than I could ever. So with that, does anyone else have anything to add? Would you like a motion on this to endorse these recommendations, Susan?
I would like a motion to endorse these recommendations.
All right. What's the will of the board?
So I'll move to endorse the recommendations.
Second,
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Friend,
Aye.
Director Coburn,
aye.
Vice Chair Bernal,
Aye.
Chair Goldstein.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And so
Jamie,
that,
there was one thing I'd like to point out, that at the next meeting, we are scheduled to discuss the MOE direction. So it's my hope, we're not meeting till December 3rd, that the group that's working on the next MOE contract could meet and pull together a recommendation. It'd be nice to do that, get that done before we get into the budget process.
yeah, that would be helpful. Okay, well,
Okay.
You've thrown down the gauntlet.
We'll try to do it.
Yeah, Martin and I just need to meet, and yeah, it's on my list, and then I got thrown into some other things, so.
Yeah,
All
same,
right.
same here. All right.
Well,
no
thank
problem.
you for calling our attention to the pending item on the agenda for our next meeting, which is scheduled for December 3rd at 9 a.m. Martine, do you have anything to add?
No.
Nope. Okay. Seeing none, then I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Good
night.
night.